Hi, everybody. This is the Hey You Video Game Podcast, Episode 2. This is Lemon Smith.
Yeah, Mick.
Brandy Puppet.
And today we are talking all about MMOs. Massively multiplayer RPG. Actually, not just RPGs.
Right.
What is it now? Now they have MMFPS?
Yeah.
MM... and what are the other ones?
MMO FPS, MMORPG, MMO GCD, MMO FFS, MMO PCP,
MMO
MMO
LCD.
GMO.
They've got all
Yeah.
HMO, all the MMOs, but we're just talking about MMOs in general, which we have a good amount of experience in between the three of us. I want to hear your guys' very first experience with MMO. And how old were you? Was this like middle school? Is this like 15 years ago, 12 years ago? What is it?
Well, I'd like to just preface with the history of MMOGs and don't interrupt me. The most popular type of MMOG and the subgenre that pioneered the category is the massively multiplayer online role-playing game, which descended from University Mainframe Computer (MUD) and adventure games such as Rogue and Dungeon on the PDP-10.
Oh, this is thrilling.
These games predate the commercial gaming industry and the internet, but still feature persistent worlds and other elements of MMOGs still used today. The first graphical MMOG and a major milestone. Don't interrupt me. Don't interrupt me. Milestone.
This is your first experience, huh? That
commercial
right there?
MMORPGs gained acceptance in the late 1980s and early 1990s.
He's just going all day.
The debut of the Realm Online Meridian 59.
Where did you even find this?
MMORPG, Ultima Online, Underlight, and EverQuest in the late 1990s popularized, don't interrupt me, the MMORPG genre.
That's
the growth of technology.
That's the beginning right there.
You got about 10 more minutes. This is all in his head, you can tell.
Neverwinter Nights in 1991
he's just improvising this.
Limited to 50 simultaneous.
All facts. Wow.
Number that grew to 500.
Yeah, we're going to remember this.
Don't interrupt me. Don't interrupt me.
Yeah, okay. He's on Wikipedia. He's on Wikipedia.
Online Adventures, PlayStation 2.
He's just a multi-console Final Fantasy 11.
Smart Cell Technology.
Oh, he skipped.
Mankind, Anarchy Online, EVE Online, Star Wars Galaxies, The Matrix.
This is the podcast where we just read the Wikipedia.
Hey, that's a new idea.
The subscriber base for World of Warcraft dropped by
just
1
episode
million
2.
After the expansion
Here's the
Wrath
Wikipedia.
Of the Lich King.
Wow.
That was
bringing
beautiful.
It to 9 million subscribers.
Well, thanks for that.
Now I'd like to talk about a few things I was doing in 2010.
Yeah.
Please.
Nothing?
In 2010, I signed up to take classes at college where I completed my associate's degree.
You didn't play any MMOs.
And I also became a great book scholar.
Wow. Yeah, so that's MMOs. That's all we've got right there.
The World of Warcraft title has generated over 2.2 billion in cumulative consumer spending on subscriptions from 2005 to 2009. Okay.
Oh, wow.
I feel like this section of the podcast you could just speed up to about 3x speed.
We're just gonna blitz through that real quick. You know,
the virtual economy section on the Wikipedia article.
I mean, okay. I'm sure that's probably just a real treat. Although I did hear that there's some MMOs where the currency online in the MMO is worth more than some currencies in actual real life countries. True?
Oh, that's very true. I think if we're talking about all countries, then there's a lot of countries that have a lower currency rate. But I think recently, I forget what it was, but recently I think one of them passed like one of the first world countries.
So if you lived in one of those countries and you were like a
It-
farmer in WoW or whatever MMO you're playing, you could actually make a decent living? Maybe?
Dude, China, man.
China, the Chinese farmers.
Looking
Well,
this up. Looking
what
this up.
yeah, we need to know.
I know there was a thing.
Because I mean, what a life, just to get to play video games all day, grinding away, grabbing flowers or mining or whatever it is.
Keep them entertained. Keep going. I'm
Okay,
looking it up.
you just
Keep
keep
going.
yeah.
You're sharp
Well,
as stuff.
my first MMO was I went over to my neighbor's house and he was playing Ultima Online, which you referenced, Puppet, in that article. Did any of you guys play that even a little bit, or you
Say
saw
that
it?
again.
Nope.
Ultima,
What?
Ultima Online.
Ultima? No, I
Mm-mm.
didn't play
I mean,
Ultima.
that was like at the very, very beginning, but I don't think I really like understood it. It kind of confused me, the whole idea being online. But then it wasn't until Asheron's Call and then later World of Warcraft where really embraced the MMO lifestyle.
Yeah, my first MMO, my first real MMO was RuneScape.
Oh, RuneScape.
I mean, technically, I think I played some ones before that were like those, remember those text-based ones online? It was just in your internet browser,
Is
and
that
it was like
considered an MMO? Was there
you
other
Mud.
people in it?
It's a mud.
yeah, what's that?
MUD. I don't know what it stands for, but I know it's called a mud.
But
Mm,
supposedly it was like you could run in, like everybody who was logged in, you could actually run into them, but it was all text-based. And for, back when we weren't so desensitized with the amazing gaming state of the modern world, it was so much fun.
So MUD stands for multi-user dungeon or multi-user
Ooh.
dimension. Or
So you're just
domain.
on there typing. It's one of those ones like, I want to eat a roast beef sandwich. And then it replies back.
More or
Mhm.
less. Yeah.
Wait, so this is basic. You're
Think
basic.
Fantasia 4. Was that what it was called? God.
It's
I need to get
basically
closer to my
just a
keyboard.
chat room. You're basically just in a chat room with other people.
Interactive role-playing chat room.
Fantasia, the horror game.
I'm gonna look it up here. I'm looking a lot of things up.
Well, we got Chinese farmers. We got Fantasia. We got Mud.
My first MMO was Asheron's Call. I remember my dad's friend who he worked with came over to our house and brought a copy of Asheron's Call home for us. And he said we had no idea what it was. It was this new thing. He said it was like Baldur's Gate, and I had never played that, so I had no idea what it meant. I think I was like 8 or 9 years old.
Oh my gosh. You're a baby. You're a little
Yep.
baby. But there was something like fantastic about the first time you really got into an MMO and you start exploring it. Like nowadays we have so many different types of MMOs and we're just so used to them. Like you hop into one and it might be fun and it might be immersive, but there's nothing quite like that first MMO that grabbed your heart, right?
Well, it's the same thing as you think about back in the day. You'd have a friend sleep over and you'd play GoldenEye all night, which essentially means it's just a one-on-one. Like imagine playing a shooter, split screen, one-on-one, all night long, and never getting sick of it for months and months and months. The same one.
Oh, that's the
Just like,
dream.
man, that used to be. Now you can't.
You just get
that
some
would hold my
pizza,
attention
some
for a minute.
brownies, and your buddy, and just
Some
GoldenEye.
hookers. I remember being in elementary school, we would get pizza, brownies, we'd get some hookers,
Oh
some
no.
blow,
Oh my gosh.
and GoldenEye.
And you'd get down there in the
We'd
basement.
fuck, we'd snort, and we'd eat
Oh my
just
gosh.
until we were sick all night long while playing GoldenEye.
And it was a blast.
It was, man, that was the dream. That was the dream.
So it was the game that really, the GoldenEye was the best part of the whole experience though, or it was just kind of a conglomerate of all those
Absolutely.
things. I was actually looking at
Exactly.
MMORPG.com and like the up and coming MMOs, and to me, it just seems like the same old stuff that's been pumped out for forever and ever and ever, and I just don't feel like there's anything new out there. Like I feel like people have been chasing after WoW, trying to come up with the WoW killer, the next game that's just like it, and I'm not seeing anything.
Now you're opening up the great conversation.
The floodgates.
The
Yeah,
floodgates are
you're
just
leaving out like all of Asia right now, but that's fine.
well. What are the Asians playing?
Well,
That's
it
fine.
kind of split off in, I think, two directions. There's Lineage, and then there's EverQuest. EverQuest, I think, was kind of the what is the word, like progenitor or something for World of Warcraft, and then Lineage opened the floodgates for like all of those free to play Asian MMOs, like Perfect World and all of those series. Yeah, I think you're right. It leveled off for a while there, but people are demanding more like sandbox features, and I think people are tired of the linear gameplay. Star Wars: The Old Republic kind of mastered the linear progression thing, and they did it really well. They're still doing it really well.
No, they shut down, man. You don't remember that?
When did they shut down?
No. You're talking about Star Wars Galaxies. But what Star Wars: The Old Republic failed in
Oh,
was
They
the
went
end
free. Yeah,
game.
they went with a
you're right.
tiered free.
Sorry, I'm
So
thinking Star
Star,
Wars
yeah,
Galaxies. Are you
SWTOR.
wait, are you
they-
sure?
Yeah, SWTOR. They weren't doing too well. They went to a tiered free to play model, and now I think they're probably providing the best linear experience in the MMO genre.
The Old
Really?
Republic.
Star Wars: The Old Republic. Yeah, they're providing like the
No,
best.
you guys are wrong.
They've
I'm
got
on the website
voice
right now,
acting.
and it says shut down. Star
When
Wars:
was
The
that?
Old Republic has complete. No, it says play for free login. I'm
Yeah,
kidding.
they're. I mean, that game was over $100 million. They had over $100 million budget, and they have the best voice acting still in any MMO. And I mean, we all played it. I played it for 37 hours
Yeah,
straight.
can you tell us a little bit about your Star Wars character there? Because I have,
Oh, what was his name?
it's an iconic character.
And I don't think
in
I was
our
around
journeys.
playing when you guys were playing, so I'd love to hear this.
Yeah, we had a LAN party. It was really dark. It was a dark time. I stayed up for 37 hours,
Oh
and
my gosh.
I know Gimmick had a bottle of vodka and a pot of coffee sitting next to him the whole time, and we were
Oh my God.
we were racing. I think I might have stayed up for 48 hours, and I got to level 37. Was that right? Does that sound right?
So was it like it was like
it was the
37
last
and
true
37?
LAN.
No, I stayed up for like 48 hours, and I got to level 37.
Oh my god.
It came out on, I
Yeah.
want to say it came out on a Sunday, and I went to bed on Wednesday.
Oh my god.
That was the last week-long LAN that we had. Then we realized that we can not do week-longs anymore. Our youth has passed, and now we just do those.
I just want to know how sick you were
3-day
by the end of that
LANs.
thing. Like
Really sick.
did you
We
cough
had
up
this
blood?
huge- oh, we had this huge tray of
Breakfast
it was
tacos all week.
Yeah,
Are
but it
you
wasn't
serious?
normal tacos. It was
You were there, dude.
I wasn't there.
shredded potato.
I never played Star Wars: The Old Republic.
What's the shredded potato food?
Hash
French
browns?
fries.
Yeah, hash browns.
You ate
we
French
had we had like a 10-pound tray of hash browns, and I was just shoveling that down. And we had these giant Christmas cookies because I think it was in January.
Oh yeah.
At the last day, the very last morning, we woke up and, of course, made breakfast tacos again. And I remember looking at the breakfast tacos and just getting sick.
All right, we're
Mm.
back. The
Ooh.
something went wrong in the middle of Gimmick's taco story, his legendary taco story. What were you saying
right.
about those tacos? You ate a bunch.
Uh,
You ate a bunch of
they made-
tacos.
Oh, geez. I don't know where it cut off. But essentially, it kickstarted my healthy eating.
Wow.
I couldn't even look at junk food for months. I shit liquid.
Wow. Oh my
It's like
god.
the first time I've ever gone to the bathroom expecting number 2. I sit down and just like I could barely even feel it, but I just heard the toilet like splashing. I was like, "What's going on?" I looked in there and it was just like, "Oh my god." Coffee and vodka,
Wow.
sitting still for a week, and then only getting up to shove breakfast tacos down my gullet really had a pretty heavy effect,
And
you know?
Yeah,
that's
I
the power of the
remember
land party.
Ever
the
since,
last
I've
morning.
been eating pretty dang good.
The last morning of that LAN party, I remember opening up the door to the garage. I was standing in the doorway, just wearing like the clothes I was sleeping in, my PJs, and I just looked around. I looked at you guys. You were all gaming. It was probably like 9 or 10 in the morning. I was just like, I'm gonna go, and I grabbed my running shoes, put them on, and I went for a run.
Yeah.
Wow.
And then when
I
I came
remember
back, you guys were packing up.
I remember I that same day, I once after I went to the bathroom, I went out and an angel appeared to me,
Oh my gosh.
What did he
and
say?
he said that, um,
Did he
uh,
say anything
th
about the future of MMOs?
Did he paint a picture
he
of the
told me
dream
my
MMO?
future. I had a vision of, a fish,
They will
um,
come out
uh
with they will come out with player-driven economies and territorial node systems in 2018. December
Yep.
2018,
I
territorial
am an
node.
angel of God.
It said no, the angel appeared to me, it said, "I am a prince of an African country. Please send money to
No.
this bank account."
So I'm pretty sure I could talk about the state of MMOs, kind of like what I was doing earlier, going from like Lineage and EverQuest Online and following the genres down. I could probably talk for like 5 hours straight. So I think we need to get
Well,
some
let's
kind of
settle
sound
in.
effect. We need to get a sound effect, like a loud,
Like a wow,
almost like a horn, like a fart sound, but a fart sound, like a Drake horn fart sound that when I go on and on about specific
we just
aspect of
hit
MMOs,
this.
for example, node systems, you could just burn, get a little
Yeah.
interrupt there. Maybe Gimmick can crack a little joke, or maybe Lemon could just continue with his diet of eating cheese every night and
Yeah.
load up an actual fart.
No, 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 no. Yeah, we'll look for one of those horns. We'll get one of those. I think we could figure something out. All right. What's the absolute worst MMO you've ever played? Like, has there been one where you were just like hoping for the best of the best of the best and you logged on and it was just complete crap?
World of Warcraft.
World of Warcraft? Are you serious? That's a
Somebody's got a
joke.
chip on their shoulder.
Yeah.
Oh, the
I mean,
word. Let's see.
you
There's
can't talk bad about WoW. I mean, it's like,
It's not WoW's fault that everybody copied them. That's my thing. WoW
yeah.
is not to blame. WoW is the cause, but they're not like,
WoW paved the way for Trump.
oh my
Oh
god.
gosh. No, here's the perfect analogy of what WoW is. WoW is like Starbucks, and everybody shits on Starbucks now. But you wouldn't have had all these coffee shops that we now have unless Starbucks came and paved the way.
But the problem is,
I don't want
like,
to debate the WoW thing. I'm not. I'm bowing out of this.
well,
Well,
here
me
I'll
and
be on
Gimmick
your side
actually
for a
agree.
second.
I think you guys should talk about your experience in WoW together because I know the two of you have some stories.
Oh, some amazing story. WoW is amazing, but I do in the same analogy that Lemon just said, but maybe a side that he didn't think about is, yeah, a bunch of coffee shops have opened up. It made coffee really popular, but as a coffee snob, all the coffee, like the chain coffee, is shit.
Yeah.
It's shit. They came out and they tried to copy Starbucks, and they're just shit. And it's the same thing. The problem. So I love WoW. I have nothing against WoW. I don't think it's the greatest MMO ever, whatever. But for what it was, I thought, Blizzard is an amazing company. They did a great thing. It's all the copycats, and it's the fact that money got into MMOs. Big developers, big money got into MMOs. And so whereas before MMOs were made by smaller teams, it was a success if you had 100,000 total
Who are
accounts.
passionate about the game.
They're passionate about the game. They did what they wanted. There was no rule book, and they were just kind of dreaming, doing what they wanted, trying to make a real kind of open format MMO. That's why all these old school MMOs, there's a lot. It's a lot more complex. There's a lot more to, it's a little confusing. It's not polished, but that's actually kind of the charm of it. But nowadays, some gaming company gets hired by some developer and they fund it and they say, no, we want it to be like this, it needs to hit this, and if it's not a success, if there's not 1 million people
We're cutting it.
day one, then big change. So there's all these compromises that have been made, and so like these gaming developers were forced by developers, because they were there, that's where they got their money from, to do all these just cookie cutter
All the same.
copycats of WoW. And so that kind of launched, and a lot of them were great. They're great, but it would have been fine if, like, oh, there's this wave of WoW copycats and all these polished MMOs. That's great, but then some other non-polished ones started releasing as well, and that whole WoW copycat thing kind of went into the past. But we're what? How many years? 13 years into
13?
this,
Has
and
it been
it's
13
still,
years since you started talking?
yeah.
Yeah. I've aged.
Well,
No.
what, WoW came out in 2005.
No,
right?
before that. It was like 2003 or maybe 2.
05. It went into beta in like 03 or 02.
Okay. So it's still got a foothold. We did have a good time playing WoW, though. All 3 of us.
Oh yeah.
You too,
And
Puppet.
you guys should.
Oh, yeah.
You guys should. Yeah, I did. I had my girlfriend broke up with me in high school. There was a good 3 months there where I grinded in Stranglethorn Vale, grinded out my anger, and I actually had a great time. But I know
Vanilla
you
WoW
guys,
Something
you
special.
guys had some real. What was your favorite experience together in WoW?
Oh,
Gimmick
it
and lemon.
was
Let's get the love
definitely
story. Let's get the love story.
Oh,
the
because
story that always comes first to mind is when Lemon and I were in Molten Core, which back then, it's 40 people. It's a big deal. It's the hardest dungeon in the game. It was before, this was Vanilla WoW, so Vanilla WoW was still pretty respectable, even as far as old school MMOs go, where there was like, the vast majority of the people would never complete Molten Core. They would just it would never happen. It was extremely hard.
And you needed how big of a group? Was it
40 people.
40?
40
Yeah.
person raid. And you needed specific classes to do specific things. It was like, I was a hunter, so that first boss, the big 3-headed dog, whatever his name was, I had a certain skill that literally dropped from that mob. So you had to kill him the first couple times, even without that. And then the hunter gets this skill, and it's only used on that boss fight. So there's a lot of really specific, a lot of really cool mechanics. But the best story ever was we were in Molten Core, pretty far
Lava
in.
everywhere.
Of course, lava everywhere, and I'm a hunter.
And I'm a
And
paladin.
everybody's
Looking
this is
good.
before Leroy Jenkins too. So
Lemon looks so good too. With that.
I
remember
I have the
seeing that
blonde
sword.
hair.
You had that one of those. You used to do a double-handed sword, right?
No, I think I had a hammer.
I remember
a
seeing you run
one-handed
around with a
hammer.
double-handed sword, and I just thought it looked so sexy.
But it was probably that too. All right.
Maybe when you were a lower level.
So we're in
Oh,
Molten
yeah.
Core.
Always good. Yeah, so we took a break. Everybody took a smoke bathroom break, whatever. So we're all sitting, 40 people sitting on this narrow ledge, and they started taking. It was like supposed to be like a 5-minute break, and 10 minutes go by, and it's approaching 15. It's just like, oh my god, like where is everybody? And Lemon and I think we were in both teams. We were in like 2 team speaks, so we were talking privately to each other too. And so I did Eyes of the Beast, and I started, which means I could take over my pet and move him around. And nobody's really looking at the pets, So my cat goes up, he starts approaching forward, and nobody's paying attention. And I remember rounding up a bunch of those giant.
Oh yeah, those big
Remember those
monster
huge
things,
giants?
like lava giants.
Yeah, I would. So I went and I like
They're
rounded a bunch
massive.
of them up, and nobody really realized because I was kind of
70
around
feet
the
tall.
corner. And then I run my cat back to the group, near the group, and and some people in the Discord are like, is that a cat up there? Like, what's like whose cat is that? What's going on? And I just have him suicide off the ledge, and like 10, 11 of these giants are following him. And I remember they all just go to the ledge and just watch my cat as he goes off the ledge and dies. And they're just still for a moment. And there's just complete silence in the team speak. And everybody's suddenly aware of it. And everybody's just like, oh. And then all like 10 or whatever of these giants just start turning around and just bounding towards the group.
Everybody's going nuts.
Everybody just screaming like, run! Ah! All the rogues, like
Yeah.
dash to go invisible. It's just chaos
Paladins
in
are
every
bubbling.
direction. Just sprinting towards the exit.
All
Some
these
weren't
people
even
just
back yet.
dying. Just people
The
getting slaughtered.
first wave were the people that were still AFK getting slaughtered. I just remember the bodies. There was only like 2 or 3 people that made it out.
Because wouldn't it take all 40 of us just to kill like one of them?
Oh,
You're
yeah.
supposed to
Oh, yeah.
draw
It
them
was
over.
crazy.
So for 10 of them was just like a massive tidal wave.
I'm not one to troll at others' expense, and that
This
was
is
like
an
before
insight
Leroy.
into Gimmick's character, by the way, everybody.
Oh yeah. I don't even think I meant for that to happen. It was
No.
just kind of this thing where I thought I would jump off the edge, kill myself, and they'd go back. But it was just
Nightmare.
hilarious to just see that line of bodies all the way up this, like all the way back to the exit, just 40 bodies strewn out.
I think
I
my
love
favorite
that
memory was, well, maybe not favorite, but I had one memory where I pulled an all-nighter in what was the arena where it was like
Alterac
30.
Valley.
Yes, I was in Alterac Valley, and I spent all night listening to techno music and collecting the rams or something. There was this like one thing where if you got all these rams together, they would charge, and nobody would ever do it because it just took forever and ever to do. But I spent like 2 to 3 hours collecting these rams, and it was cool. I don't think we won, but in my mind, I was like,
Oh,
this,
anticlimactic.
yeah, very anticlimactic. But it was, hey, in my heart of hearts, it was gold.
Yeah, dude, just hopping on that Stranglethorn Vale blimp that went into.
Oh,
You'd
right.
break it. We'd fight, and we were alliance, so we would that little outpost. We would kill the guards, or just run past them and go up to the horde little blimp,
Right.
and we'd just hide in the bottom, and all these people would be taxing from
And we'd
the
slaughter
undead
them.
city. We'd
And then
just
because I was paladin, if things
destroy
got
'em.
too hot, you would just jump over and I would jump over, but I would bubble and my bubble would protect me from taking damage. So I'd live and then you would die, but I would just resurrect you right there. So it was
Yep.
like nothing happened. Oh,
Yep.
wow. The good old
It's-
days.
It was a fun game.
Yeah.
Can't hate on WoW, but
So
what WoW did it's I feel like we're starting to come out of it. I've been saying this for years, but I'm still holding on to it. It's with mine. I feel like Minecraft broke that seal that only these polished AAA titles, WoW clones can be successful. And then Minecraft came along, made by a single guy, and it's like just by far the most successful video game I think of all time. And it's just this no story sandbox indie horrible graphics, intentionally horrible.
but it was
Just
creative.
retro
It was
graphics is probably
super
a better.
creative.
And I feel like that it totally can translate to MMOs, that open vibe that Minecraft has. And I feel like the indie games, there's a platform that you don't need with Kickstarter or whatever. You don't need these big companies to back you.
Or even
You can
Steam.
raise the money yourself. Steam Greenlight, but I'm talking about like actually getting the
Oh,
money.
right. The funds.
These small independent developers are now able to make games that they want without the voices of EA or whatever poisonous businessmen are whispering in their ear. And I feel like we're starting to see a lot of these games come out. A lot of them suck because I feel like a lot of people forgot how to make like
How to be creative.
complicated MMOs. But I feel like we're gonna get there. I feel like the survival genre and the MMO genre
And even the
are
FPS,
gonna be
because
mixing.
you
Yeah,
had
for
Destiny,
sure.
which was like a huge success, Destiny 2, which is coming out. And as far as MMOs go, man, I think that is an incredible game that just really did it well. You've got some story, it's okay, but you know, you're grinding for gear. You've got a lot of different people. You've got raids. I think people are branching out.
Yeah, I think we're gonna be snapping out of it pretty quick. I mean, even Puppet, the games we've been playing, Albion. You know, Albion's far from perfect. I don't think it has enough content. It gets super repetitive, but the heart of it, kind of a spiritual successor to Ultima. You know, its problem is they wanted it to be playable on tablets, and I think that's what killed it. But I think we're starting to see these independent developers start come out with some awesome. What are some other games that we've dipped into? Because there
Like
have been
indie
a
games,
lot of
we played Conan recently, kind of on the survival thing. Um,
Are we talking about sandbox games, open world?
yeah.
We're talking about Minecraft, open world sandbox games,
Somebody hasn't been listening.
procedurally generated. No, I was listening. You were just saying you think WoW had a strong kind of had a stronghold on the,
Stranglethorn.
and then uh, Minecraft broke the seal.
Yeah, you nailed it.
Like
But
opened a milk
also,
jug.
and it got me thinking about open world games, procedurally generated games, and I think Ultima Online, all those old MMOs, definitely like
So what are some ones that
provided that.
because we've been alpha junkies for a few years now. We've played some buggy ass games, but with some really promising ideas. Even like Mortal Online, you know, Mortal Online's probably a permanent disaster just because of its bugginess. But the heart of it, the fact that it was made to begin with,
And I think it's just I thought Mortal Online was pretty smooth. I didn't actually find it super buggy. I think it was just too hard. It was just too difficult for people. Like people don't like they didn't like when it came out in like what 2000 it like came out, flopped, and then got released free to play. I think it was just too difficult.
that's another thing. I mean, you might be right in the sense that are we even able to go back to that old style? Because we've all, you
I don't
know,
think so. I mean, I think some people can who've never played it that much, but if you played a ton of WoW or games like it, you just want something different.
our expectation or our attention spans are a lot shorter. You know,
Yeah.
when in Mortal, you know, we had to go. How did you leveled up your sword by like going to a tree and just smacking the tree for hours, just like hitting a
Yeah,
tree with
you
your
could
sword?
you level up your strength by setting up a key presser and having your guy just punch a wall all night.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, and I feel like that's a very old school MMO thing, but at the same time, I don't know. Maybe we don't want the old school. I know that Puppet probably does for sure, but maybe there's a synthesis between the two
This is what we
that would
need.
be
Or a
better.
fragmenting as the market grows, genres are fragmenting and becoming more specific. And now that the indie studios are being picked up by larger studios, or they're using crowdfunding, or some of them have a little more integrity and they'll make a small game to fund a dream project, or some people have fuck you money that they're throwing at games. Like what's that one tree of like it's what is it tree not tree of Ashron, ashes of creation,
Oh,
guys like that with fuck you money who just are like, hey, I want to make this. And so as the audience for as the player base for all MMOs grows, and as the industry grows, genres are fragmenting and things are becoming more specific. And I think in a few years every MMO player is going to have they're going to have something close to their dream game, because there's going to be so many games out there, and you only need a certain number of players. One of the problems with Albion is there's too many players. You don't need that many people on one server. It just makes it too difficult. You get 1,000 people on a server, and that's fine.
and
I
if
mean,
a developer is trying to make money, this is what you do. You crank out some Santa hats, some really neon gear, and you sell those in packages for 50 cents, you know, and you just pump them out, just start
Yeah, I mean
pumping
that's
them.
some
Cosmetic
people. You know what?
microtransactions.
Some people like pay to win games. There's a market for pay to win games. There's a market for
Pay to look goofy.
pay to look goofy. There's a market for crates, but also there's ways for smaller games to, you just won't make as much money. You're like a mom and pop game. Look at Lord of the Rings Online. That game's still up, still making money. It costs very little to run. There's guys maintaining it because it's a good game, and it's making a little bit of money. And I don't know. You don't need to get rich off these games. And I think that's what people are realizing. And
Well, pay to win,
their dream game.
Pay to win is get rich, like game. Those games make
It ruins the integrity of the game.
It ruins the integrity of the game for sure. I hate them.
In Western markets, that is the perception in Western markets is that it ruins the integrity of the game. Not so much in Russia and China and I think Japan and Southeast Asia. Though in those cultures, the pay to win is a super success. The free to play pay to win model is super successful. Nobody looks down on it. But in the North American market, it's highly looked down upon. I mean, we hate it. We hate pay to win, and that's why there aren't as many pay to win features in games like Black Desert Online. Whereas in the Korean version, you have more pay to win features. In the North American version, there are fewer pay to win features.
Yeah, I don't like them.
True.
I don't like them. So for you guys, if we were trying to dream up like the next big, MMO, what would your hope be?
There's like already 10.
Give us one MMO that you're just like, this is gonna be so good. It's gonna, as Gimmick would say, it's gonna crack open that seal.
Break the seal.
It's gonna break that milk seal.
Tear the seal. Crowfall. Rust is already out there. It's basically an MMO once they stop wiping it. Honestly, the new Z, what they were doing, I think was amazing, but it had some issues. Dark and Light, Tarkov is amazing. Ashes of Creation, Black Desert Online.
These aren't RPGs though. You're almost exclusively talking about like MMO survival or MMO FPS.
Yeah.
Which is, I mean, I agree.
Well, they all have RPG progression. All of them have RPG progression.
That's true.
And that's essential for me. I think the game to break my seal or tear my seal or whatever.
Oh my gosh.
Would be or break the mold would be for me. It has to have some kind of character progression. It has to have character progression. But I don't want linear overall progression. I want character progression, but I want a sandbox world where the world is alive and the world really means something. That's why I think the node system, which is already implemented in Black Desert Online, which is amazing. Black Desert Online is just amazing, by the way. It's like, I think it's the best MMO out there right now. And that's just like a stupid broad statement, but still, I think. So for me, Black Desert's already out there and it's already great. And then you have like Elder Scrolls Online has like kind of is a synthesis between Black Desert Online and Star Wars: The Old Republic. I think it's got that very
the last MMO I've really played,
and it's hugely successful. It's not going anywhere. Nobody's playing. Nobody's playing. Well, I'm drawing a blank. What's it called? Morrowind, not Morrowind. That's the
Skyrim.
No, what's the? No one's playing Elder Scrolls Online. No one's playing Elder Scrolls Online and missing WoW. Nobody's like, oh, I wish this was more like WoW. They're like, no, this is a new thing. I don't know what their concurrent users are, but I'm guessing it's over 100,000.
Oh yeah, no, it's very successful. One thing. I mean, I love Elder Scrolls Online. ESO is a super fun game. I love that there's one thing they do that is reminiscent of old school MMOs. Elder Scrolls Online really is kind of what we talked about, that synthesis of new and old school. But like the level cap is like you watch these guys on YouTube who are putting out these guides, and it's just like their level, you know, 1200. That's their level. It's just like, oh my,
Does it
like
just keep
my
going?
God, it just doesn't stop. It just goes on forever, and up until level like 800, you actually still get like there's like a whole champion progression system. It's really good. It's just there's not that moment where you hit the end game real easy and you're like, well, I'm done now. I'm
That's
just gonna
it.
grind these dungeons and whatever, sit around. It's really good. But here's one thing that would like to be implemented still that really isn't in these big games like ESO. Imagine ESO with free for all PvP. And major disclaimer, all of us are very PvP centric.
It's what makes a game fun.
It's like you have to have a reason to level. I love PvE. I want good PvE. I like group mechanics. I don't like RPK, just randomly killing everybody you come
Oh,
across
I love that though.
because you're a
Yeah, I
bad
like
person.
that.
You
I
have a
like
bad
that
heart.
too.
Did I tell you about my
No.
favorite memory in WoW?
I like when certain
Killing
people do
noobs?
that. Like in Asheron's Call, original Asheron's Call before the Great Fall, the Great Mini Falls. There were the people who enjoyed randomly killing people, and there were the people who banded together to stop those people. It created user-made politics. It created the Bloods and the Antis, and there were you hated the Bloods, and it's like, man, how do they have fun just killing noobs out of the thing? But at the same time, you don't want them to stop. Like you want an enemy. You want an enemy. You want a bad guy. But that's what I think that's what only free for all PvP can give is true player made politics, because you're forced into making like grouping up. You can't survive alone. And it's not just this pre-made story. You're really saying like, I need to join somebody, and somebody will rise to the occasion and start a small guild, and eventually it'll be a big guild, and eventually they'll ally with other smaller guilds, and eventually there'll be a huge guild, and suddenly you have this whole political tiered system, and it's all
All
player made.
natural.
All
That's what we're
natural,
missing.
breaking the seal.
That is
Yeah,
what
I
we're
think
still missing.
Ashton's Call is the best example of high stakes and PvP culminating with those few years where you had thousands of players online to create this super complex, super interesting political experience where you had these two major forces where you have like huge you know huge differing ethos between these two alliances. Just the I mean, you get to know the people, and you think, if you're an anti, you're like, these guys are actual scumbags. And then you've got guilds, like Right Hand of God, part of the anti-alliance, where they have like actual like Christian fundamentals in their statement of purpose on their website. So you get these like this culture conflict, and you have all this tension, and you meet at the same places, and you fight every day, and you would run your routes, and it made for great PvP, great experiences. And then leaders would rise to the top, so you had these big names, guys like Fists of Vengeance. And then you'd have like a stalemate, or one side would be overpowered, and then you'd have like, that's when TLS came in, and they were kind of like independent operators. I mean, they took RPKs and they took antis and they brought them together, and it was like this weird thing that happened, and it just made for really interesting politics. I
It
mean,
sounds
both
like
sides had to
actual history.
compromise.
Sounds like
Yeah,
like global history, but it's a video game, and it's just that's what the survival genre right now is doing really well. It's because it's
yeah.
all free for all, and it's all like huge consequences.
And
You
it
die,
made it
you
fun.
drop
persistent world.
everything.
Survival games need a persistent world
Exactly.
with no
They need to
wipes.
combine those. I think there's part of it is server technology is holding that back a bit, but the perfect world, in my opinion, back to that question of what's the perfect MMO, is I think the survival genre mixing with the MMORPG genre in a real way. And that's what like Dark and Light just released, and it's an alpha and it's super rough right now, but it's kind of like an Arc clone, which is a little Arc is, I hate how reliant on taming it is, but it seems like it's not doing that. But it just seems like, oh, we might be starting to get there. We might be starting to get that great RPG feel, character progression, fantasy world, but with that survival,
Element.
you take that crazy staff you got out, you take it to battle. If you die, you lose that staff. Like it's gone.
Yeah. And
And
it
Yeah,
that
high
and it
kind of
stakes. High
tension,
stakes. High stakes requires players to rely on each other. You die down at the bottom of a dungeon, and you're up at the top of the dungeon, and some stranger helps you out, and then a couple days later, they die at the bottom of the dungeon. You're there, you help them out. Boom, a relationship has been built, and that's when things get interesting. When you have relationships between players that have greater implications.
we just started. We played Dark Age of Camelot. They have a private server that's as populated as the actual game was back in the day, and that started
which is very
happening
little,
immediately.
or
No, a lot. I mean, it's a full, vibrant server, and
filled
it's
with best friends.
DAOC with some. The community took Dark Age of Camelot and they took the best parts of all the expansions, put in those, and left out all of the as MMOs progress, like WoW. WoW in its current state, I would totally with um, Puppet on this one. It's just a theme park, just so much content, it's just so much, and and that
No
naturally
steak,
happens with
no steak.
expansions. You make it easier for the community because you're trying to get people to come back, and you start giving handouts, and it just slowly deteriorates it.
It's bloated. It's
But
like
this
Handouts,
private
handouts.
server we did was all the best parts of the expansions, none of that stuff, that exactly what Puppet just said started happening. We were in Darkness Falls, and it's just so difficult. But like, oh hey, there's that guy that saved me the other day, like, hey, like, how's it going? He's like, oh hey, and you group up, and then like he brings his friend, and then some of your friends log on, and suddenly you may be in different guilds, but you start just naturally forming these relationships with other guilds and other people because you need each other.
and it
You're
goes
like,
from there. And I mean, we need a new MMO with some new mechanics, just because I think a good MMO is one that you get in and you don't fully understand it right off the bat. Like sometimes they make these MMOs and they're so similar to WoW or others, like you already know how to play the game and how to progress because it's so similar. But it's the games that has like a completely new mechanic and you get in and you're just clueless trying to figure it out. You're trying to ask other people. I think that's what really keeps a game engaging and
yep.
interesting.
That's how the node system felt in Black Desert Online.
What is
When
the node system? I don't know what that is.
I don't even know if I still fully understand it, but basically the map is broken up into nodes. Each node affects a certain amount of territory, and you gain currency by running quests, and you spend that currency into specific nodes in order to raise the quality of loot you get in that area, raise the amount of XP you get in that area. Also, you have workers mining on workers mine. It's like an ongoing process that just goes on like all the time. They'll go for like hours at a time. Your workers will make more, they'll produce more. And so that's what the node system is. You run quests, you get currency, you invest into the nodes. And I believe Black Desert recently opened that up to PvP. But speaking of node systems, also Ashes of Creation is also going to have that kind of node system, but you're going to actually build up the nodes from a camp all the way up to a full-size city. So it's even deeper in Ashes of Creation. Who knows when that game's coming out though?
What we need is games coming out that are aiming for 100,000 players. They're not trying to please everybody. When an MMO is coming out and they're advertising it and they're like, this is for everybody. If you just want to solo all the way up, you can do that. You want to only craft, stay in the city, you can level up that way too. It's for like, it's automatically red flags. If you can solo all the way to the top, then this game's just going to be garbage. Or not. It might not be garbage, but it'll be something that entertains
They're
you for a
pandering
month.
to everyone.
You're gonna hit the max level in 2 weeks, and it's just pandering is exactly what it
I
is.
wouldn't even put it. I wouldn't put a negative spin on it.
Pandering.
I wouldn't say it's pandering. I would just say it's an open market. I mean, there are, the market is in place, and whenever capitalism dips its toe into some kind of artistic medium, there's always conflict there because you have personality types and you have differing different communities interacting, and so there's always going to be tension there.
Well, that's the
But
thing
I
is
think
that you're appealing to
100,000,
common people, and then
yeah,
the actual hardcore gamers, like who actually really like identify with gaming, but then the games are being built around, oh, we want the old average Joe who doesn't really play video games that much, but likes to take an edge off once a week. And some of the systems are catering to him. It's just like, well, like, fuck, man. Like,
This is what I want.
why?
This is
I
what
mean,
I
I know
want.
it makes you more money, and
I
that's
want to
why,
be I want to be Harry, Hermie, and Ron and sneaking around Dumbledore's castle, full Harry Potter universe
you
looking
want
for
Harry Potter online.
I want HPO online.
I've
HBO.
been
Oh,
dreaming about that. I've been dreaming about
You've been
that for a long
dreaming, huh?
time.
You've got your broomsticks, you got your butterbeer,
Your butterbeer.
you've got Hergrid and like the whole squad. Like
Hergrid. You
this,
know what I want? I want a game where when you die, you drop your credit card number.
Oh,
And
That's
you
high
die, and
stakes.
you really got to get to the phone. You got to call your bank immediately. That guy kills you. He's got your card number. He's typing it in
But if
on
you
the website. There's a place where you can extract money as much as you want.
and if you
And so
kill
it's a
him,
race.
you're getting
Like
your card back and his card. Oh my
Yeah.
god, that would create some politics.
There's like a Wells Fargo NPC that you run to and punch the number into and start extracting money.
Yeah.
Or
it's right.
or if you want to spend the extra money, you can actually purchase through Amazon a credit card swiper, and you get that number, you swipe that card in real life.
Oh, so you just want to start skimming? You just want to start identity theft in real life, is what you're saying?
I just want people's money, I mean, if you knock them out and you get
Yeah,
their
absolutely.
card, it's yours now.
Turbine used to keep charging you after you canceled your account. That was like a big problem for years. You cancel your account and they would just keep charging you.
What would they say? They just say like, "Oops, oopsie."
Yep.
Oh
Oops.
my gosh, that's terrible. So bad.
I think the most interesting new mechanics that are already almost fully implemented are nodes, and then also in Crowfall and Ashes of Creation, they're coming out with the meta narrative cycles. So earlier I said the biggest thing that needs to happen in these survival sandbox games is they need to stop wiping the servers. But I actually think that can be done well. You can have an MMO where you have a meta kind of story arc that kind of encapsulates the activity of the players across the whole server, and I think that story arc you can do it for like 6 months or something, and then have it wipe, or 1 year and have it wipe. And I think Crowfall is planning on doing like 1 or 3 months or something, and then I think Ashes of Creation is talking about implementing that.
Crowfall reminds me, just the artwork a little bit with the mouse reminds me of that book it was in like elementary age book, and it's like a warrior mouse, and they're all warrior animals, and they're fighting
Is that
together.
Nim? No, that's a movie.
No, that's a movie. What's the one where it's like, oh gosh, I'm blanking on
Yeah,
this.
me too. It's
I
like
can
on the
picture it. I can picture that
Mouse
little
guard.
No, not mouse
That's a
guard.
Mouse
Is
guard.
that a
Dude.
joke
That's
or a real thing?
Oh, it's like a tabletop game.
Redwall.
Redwall. Yeah.
I just
Crowfall.
googled mouse book series, and the first thing that popped up was Redwall.
I googled on Amazon, and it brought up bestsellers in children's mouse and rodent books.
What do you mean you googled on Amazon? What
Well,
is that?
it's a blend. It's
He
a
went
new
to
thing.
Amazon, and in the Amazon search engine, he typed Google, and then he Control F searched for mouse and rats.
And I've got some crazy images on my screen right now, just some real
Right.
crazy stuff. Yeah, I think the latest MMO that I thought was okay, but it just was really lacking. Although they are releasing a DLC for it, was Conan. I thought it was a lot of fun, but there was no real. I mean, there was like a video montage, but not much of a story to it, and I just felt like it was so lacking.
Talking
Although,
about the survival game,
yeah,
Conan.
oh yeah, the new one, Conan Exiles.
Oh, Conan Exile. I thought you were talking about Age of Conan.
Oh,
Yeah,
sorry, yeah,
same
big
actual.
difference.
Yeah.
Actually, not a big difference. It's the same people who made it. Age of Conan was probably the most disappointing MMO ever. So
Yeah,
much
It
potential,
was so weird.
so great,
I don't
so many
exactly.
amazing elements.
I don't exactly know why. Like I know the
Oh, I know
instancing
exactly why.
the
Because it
instancing
sucked.
killed it for me.
That was it. It was the
But
instancing. It was
but
you'd
look
go
at
to a town, you'd be chasing a guy. It was free for all PvP. You'd get your friends there, like, oh, somebody killed me, and you'd start a fight in the town, and then you get to the town, like, oh, we cornered him, and you get there and like, oh, he's gone. Oh, he just quit that instance of this town and joined another instance. So it's just like PvP was meaningless because you could just escape with the click of a button at any time with no consequences. That was the nail in the coffin.
yeah, I was thinking about Age of Conan like yesterday or something because we were talking about immersion in Tarkov, and I'm still so baffled by the fact that the system of logging into a server, the way Tarkov is set up, how you log into a server for like sometimes as short as a few minutes. I'm so baffled by how it's not immersion breaking. I would think it would be so immersion breaking that it would ruin the game for me, but it hasn't ruined the game for me yet with Age of Conan, where you spend a lot more time in an instance usually. It
Well, that was the
was
same.
horribly immersion breaking.
Remember the way in Star Wars Galaxies, not the Old Republic, the Galaxies, it was like every planet was just a small little map, but it felt and it was essentially a loading screen in between when you would go to a new place. It'd be a loading screen. That's how they instanced. But it didn't feel like it broke your immersion because you're traveling through space and like you're gonna go to a different planet and you
Takes a little bit
go
to
in your
get there.
ship and it takes a little bit to get there. If you do it right, instancing, and when I say instancing, I mean everything's broken up into a single instance, not there's 6 instances of the same place. That if you have multiple instances of the same place in the same server, that is the worst, probably my most hated
So you,
mechanic
you
in
didn't like
in
Guild
any game.
Wars then? The Guild Wars series?
I loved Guild Wars 2 PvE. I thought it was one of the most fun times I've had PvE. But the reason, once you hit max level, there's a few things wrong with the end game. One, the fact that like all of the max level gear was just cosmetic. You could literally buy the best gear for really cheap in the auction house. It just didn't look very cool. It's just like, wait, then why am I running this dungeon? Because I can look cooler? Like, yeah, I want to look cooler, and maybe that would last for a couple weeks. But then, like, eventually, your motivation is just like,
Diminish.
why am I trying so hard for this? I'm getting no benefit. They may have changed that eventually, but at first that's how it was. But it was also, any time you can just go to another instance, it's like, well, I mean, if it's just PvE, that's fine, but that's not what keeps me playing an MMO. I may really enjoy the leveling process, but that's what, a month or two, and then you're done, and then you lose my $15 a month, and that's it. Like, I don't think they would have lost a bunch of people if they didn't do that instancing. They would have probably, in the long run, kept a lot more of the more hardcore
Well, they learned,
style
and then
gamers.
they made Conan Exiles, which has 0 instancing, but
Oh,
it's
I don't
but
think
it,
that's the same company.
wait, I thought you just said it was the same guys.
No, Age of Conan. You said Guild Wars. You said Guild Wars.
I got confused.
Funcom is making Exiles, and they made Age of Conan.
Yeah,
The
I
whole
did. I was
Guild
confused.
Wars.
I didn't remember instancing in Guild Wars, but I was just
Yeah.
like, oh well, if that happened, then that must have been why I
The
stopped.
Guild Wars series, Guild Wars 1 and Guild Wars 2, are just another example, kind of like Tarkov, where you have instancing as like a major part of the game, but it doesn't really kill it. I mean, it kind of killed it for me, but they're still just really good games. I mean, Guild Wars I think Guild Wars was one of the first pay to play where you didn't have to have a monthly subscription
Yep.
for an MMO.
Yeah, that was a big thing back then.
Especially when you're a kid and you're trying to scrap up $10 or whatever it is. I think that might have been my first bill, like paying for an MMO. Could be wrong
Yeah.
there, but yeah, that was annoying. I'm glad that got rid of. At least a lot of them did.
I actually enjoy the monthly subscription because that prevents pay to win, and it prevents MMOs coming out, or any game for that matter, coming out with content on release and then not doing, and then all the patches, they like don't do any content for like a year, and then they release an expansion that you have to buy. DLCs, what they're called these days. And it's just like, man, I remember when games like, you would come out with an expansion every few years that would be massive, but you would also have a ton of big patches that just came for free because you're already paying $15 a month. I'm already paying a lot of money every year for this. I don't even need to think about it. And it funds the game, it funds the developers to be able to focus on making good content. I don't know. That's my opinion.
Yeah, it does raise the bar too. You're not going to get a lot of middle school children running amok on the server because they found a free game to play. You know, I mean,
Yeah.
you'll still get some of that, but less of it. You're going to get more people who are actually dedicated to the game and not just going to come on and troll people or mess around for a week and then peace out.
Yeah,
And
I
all
think
this stuff.
Tarkov has a great model. I think
Tarkov,
that
you can't.
getting
But
off-
here's the deal: I don't think you can consider Tarkov to be an MMO FPS. When you're logging into a server with like 7 other people, that's just a first-person shooter.
It's very loosely.
I
People
don't
are throwing around MMO pretty loosely these days. It's not an
The-
MMO in the classic.
MMO
the
stands
way
for
that people are
massively
connected-
multiplayer online.
But what
Massive
you do
meaning
in
a lot.
one server, what you do in one server deeply impacts other players, because if you loot an M4 in one server and take it into another and then somebody else kills you, they got that M4 and therefore those servers are connected.
Oh, okay. I
Content.
didn't know.
There's like a
somebody-
middle ground somewhere.
Global inventory is another big thing. Global inventory, and also the vendor system. You know, I've been sitting and watching the pawn shop, and people are constantly selling,
The local
selling
pawn
and buying,
shop.
selling.
You're outside the
local
local pawn shop, just you're eyeing
Selling
stuff.
But that pawn shop is another place where players are integrally connected, and I think that's another way that it makes it an MMO.
Yeah, they consider I think when they call Destiny an MMO, I think that it's not really an MMO in the same sense, but there is MMO features, and I think I think that term is pretty loose now. But yeah, I think Tarkov is much the same as Destiny.
Fallout 4 is an MMO. The
Oh,
Uncharted,
really?
the Uncharted series,
Surprising.
the 3D pinball on Windows 98.
Because you can buy it online.
Because
Everybody's
you
participating
can,
together
no,
in that first
you can
purchase.
stream it into your Twitch, and then everybody can see you pinballing it up. So it's online. A lot of people watching. It's a loose term.
Absolutely.
It's a loose term.
This is man. This is making me want to play an MMO.
I know. I'm
It's like getting that itch.
The
last MMO,
yeah, let's hear
ESO
last-
was a
last
couple months
MMO that
ago.
you
I
played.
went back. ESO was the last, and I mean, if we're not counting Tarkov, which I think, again, I think Tarkov has MMO qualities, but I wouldn't call it a straight MMO. So the last straight
ESO.
MMO RPG was ESO when they released their expansion. I think I started playing it right before the expansion, and then continued when they first released it.
The last one I
It was
played. Or go ahead.
It's fun, super fun.
You go back.
It was fun.
Okay. Last one I played, which now they just released a update, which I'll play, is Path of Exile, which that was awesome. It was like everything that I hoped for in the new Diablo, like, well, the new as in the one that came out 2 or 3 years ago.
Longer than that.
4 years ago? How old
Like
am I?
5 or 6 years.
5 or 6 years ago?
Yeah.
Oh man.
Path of Exile has the same
4.
server model as Tarkov. Drop in, drop out.
Yeah, I would consider Path of Exile the same kind of middle Middle ground.
Yeah, and you're connected through loot and inventory. Loot, inventory, and trading.
But okay,
Randy.
yeah. Well, yeah. I guess you're right.
At me.
If I can't randomly
bro.
be in the world, if I can't randomly be in the world and run into somebody who's been there for a while, and it wasn't like we all got into that. So like if you all get in, there's like 10 people in that server, you're gonna run into that person. But say somebody's been grinding somewhere for 2 hours, and I hop in and I go to that place and I see him there. That's an MMO. If I don't, it's something in between. It's
But
MMO
no,
quality.
I don't know if well, in that sense, then Guild Wars wasn't, because you're
Guild Wars 1? No, I don't. It wasn't. It was an in between,
an in-betweener.
a pseudo MMO.
Guild Wars it was kind of a drop-in, drop-out system.
Guild Wars 2 was a real MMO. Guild Wars 1,
Yeah.
pseudo MMO. That's what I'm going to
Yeah.
call it. PMMO. A pseudo massive multiplayer online.
It's an MMO with instancing. That's one of the main mechanics is instancing.
An MMO WI.
MMP.
A MOE.
Emoski.
Massively multiplayer online with instancing.
But yeah, I always have the desire for an open, persistent world with living, interactable resources. You gotta have living, interactable resources, whether that's monsters that drop a certain kind of loot or have a certain kind of reward. XP is a resource, and the way it's spread out across a map is super important. Loot is a resource, the way it's spread out across a certain, and then there's just resources, mining and fishing and all that stuff. And it's gotta be an open world. You've got to be able to be wandering around, running across a copper node, and you're mining some copper, and then somebody jumps up on, you see an arrow come back, shoot over your shoulder, and you get on your horse and you start circling, you get into some kind of fight, or like in Ashland's Call, which is the most recent MMO I've played. I'm currently playing Ashland's Call. I would have my macros up right now, but I mean, Ashland's Call, like the monsters were like this huge. They were everything. The hunting spots, the way XP was distributed across the map was so important. I mean, I would stay up there. I mean, on like a weeknight, you'd be fighting over a hunting spot. It'd be like you and one other guy, and you're trying to set up your macros. You're trying to set up your bots for the night. Bots were accepted in Ashland's Call, and you're trying to clear the hunting spot of players so that you can set up and have all that XP and loot for that night. And it was just like a race against the clock. You'd be up till sometimes like 2-3 in the morning on a weeknight, and where that other guy lives because you fight him every night for that same spot, and he's going to get tired eventually, and you're staying up and you're trying to get one of your buddies to back you up. Yeah, you will
in real life. Oh, really?
You call his mom.
Get him off. All right, last question. You're sitting down with this dude who just knows how to make video games. He's gonna make an MMO. And he says, "I need some advice." What do you give him?
Quit.
Just quit.
Get a day job.
Yeah, start working for one of these games like Crowfall or Tarkov or Ashes of Creation. Go apply there. I don't think
no. You're telling him to quit, apply somewhere. I'm telling him back to Harry Potter Online. I'm giving him my notebook filled with notes, and I'm saying run with it.
I don't think we need new. I think Harry Potter Online, yes, like all those features we just talked about on Harry Potter Online, open persistent world, resources, living map.
I don't think Harry Potter Online would be a hardcore PvP game.
I want to see
mixing markets.
No. Imagine though.
Think about the story. Think about Harry Potter. Think about that story. There are real consequences in the story of Harry Potter.
I mean,
but it's
Harry.
There's a reality.
I agree. It would be amazing. It would be amazing. I just don't think that.
No, there's some real
PvP. Harry with the invisibility cloak sneaking into one of the other, houses and just straight up shanking them, just taking people, taking their gear. It'd be
I think
awesome.
it would kind of have to compete with Elder Scrolls Online in terms of genre, but it'd be amazing. But
Final
yeah,
comments?
I'd tell him Harry Potter Online or go work for Tarkov or Battlefield.
I would say make a game for 100,000 people. Don't make a game for 5 million people. Make a game that's specific, that is what you want it to be. Don't try to make everybody happy. Try to make a certain demographic happy and do that really well. And if it's not my demographic, fine, but do that. And I feel like that actually has more potential. That's what Minecraft did. Minecraft, when he was making it, I don't think he was like, the whole world's going to love this game. I think it was at that time, a very specific type of person would like that game with no story, with just pure sandbox. And look what happened. I feel like you have a better chance of hitting 5 million if you design it for 100,000.
Right.
That's what I would say.
I think that's solid. All right, guys. This has been the episode on MMOs.
This has been the first hour and a half of our 4-hour podcast.
And we're just getting started.
Break.
We're all going to pee. We're going to make some eggs. We're going to text our moms, and then we're going to be
probably going to go over the same questions.
Same question. No. Goodbye, everyone.
Adios. Oh, we're not all three signing out.
Sign. I love you. I love you.
We need little sign out, little sign outs.
Catchphrases. We should talk about what our catchphrases are going to be. Are you still recording?
Oh, I'm still recording.
All right. Let's start. I think this last conversation. Stay salty.
This is Brindy, Puppet of Dark Tide. Stay salty.
No,
yeah.
Mine's gonna be, if yours is salty, I'm gonna say spice it up, baby.
All right, spice it up, baby. Stay salty. Mine, man, I can't. I can't take this lightly.
This is gonna be with you.
Be here. Take your mom to church.
Take your
signing out. This is Gimmick signing out. Take your mom to church. 2017. Go fuck yourself.
Brindy Puppet signing out. Good night, puppeteers.
Oh, wow.
I can't beat that.
You're already naming your fan base, which is at the moment non-existent.
All right.
There.
This has been the Hey You Video Game Podcast, and we are officially out.